Okay, well, I'm trying to find this window. Why don't you frickin' tell me about the date that you skipped out on telling us about last week? Please,
My
please
first date.
enlighten the folks.
My
First
first
date,
date
yes. First date.
with the Scottish real estate agent.
Do
Yes.
I feel like I remember you saying it wasn't bad though?
No, I was keen for a second date. I was keen for a second date.
Interesting.
She was fine. The accent was sexy. So here, okay, where it was Thursday just passed.
How heavy? How
Get a
heavy was
little,
the accent?
yeah, yeah. Get a
Heavy.
little, was that?
I said, how heavy was the accent?
No, no, no. It was that soft, that was that sort of lilting Glaswegian accent. Yeah, it was sexy.
Okay,
It was sexy.
okay.
So it was a sort of Thursday evening, sort of get the late night text and like a bit of a flirty, and how was your day and all this sort of stuff. And it was getting late, and she was going to go to bed. And I said, okay, well, let me know if you want that second date. And she's like, I do, like smiley face. I'm like, all right, well, hit me up tomorrow and then we'll set it up. And she's like, okay, like sort of love hearts and all this sort of shit. I'm like, okay, it's on. Nice one. So Friday, hanging out, waiting by the phone, nothing.
Wait,
Saturday,
did she tell you to set up the?
no, it was, I said to her, I said, let me know when you want a second date. She says, okay. I
Boom.
say, hit me
Okay.
up tomorrow. We'll set it up. And she's like, all right, we'll do. Okay. Love hearts, Broedy. Love hearts.
Yep. Invest.
So Friday comes along. I hear nothing. Saturday comes along. I hear nothing. Sunday comes along. I get out of church, as you do. Nothing. So, and then Monday. So, it's true what they say. Don't date a real estate agent.
I'm gonna be dead honest with you. Like, this is our opening bit, so we won't stay here too long. But like, I know a ton of real estate agents, and they are all ridiculously busy to the point that I think, on a personal level, a lot of shit gets missed.
Don't date real estate agents, misfits. That's the moral. That's the moral. Roll the credits. From Sydney, Australia, all the way to Portland, USA, two misfits hang out after class to riff on the B-sides of professional life. These are your professional misfits. All the way from Sydney, Australia, I am your host, Christopher Sellers.
Portland, Oregon, I'm Broedy Ipox.
And we are your professional misfits, where we riff on the B-sides of life. And for episode 59, Broedy, we're going to thank our sponsor for season 5, IGU. And I figured I'd do a blockbuster intro. But
Please.
I need you to play like like in between the pauses. I'll cue you because you need to do like the like bass. The bass, yeah, the bass drums. And are you ready? Okay.
I wish I had the soundboard set up.
I've been doing this solo for all season, man. This is the least you can do, motherfucker. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. This summer, an old game with a new twist. Where modern innovation and nostalgia come together to bring you Tag for Today. Brought to you by IGU this summer. There you go. How's that? Thanks for joining in.
Dude, you did much better than I could have.
Someone who has never seen this podcast before is like, what the fuck is going on?
I think they would like it.
All right. Welcome, Misfits. Welcome, Misfits, to episode 59. We're almost at the end of season 5. And in this episode, we're talking about the identity crisis. Is there an identity crisis? Who does it affect? What is an identity crisis? And what are we going to do about it? So, we talk about everything, we solve nothing, but let's start with the simple question first, Broedy. Do you think, in your opinion, in the States, is there an identity crisis?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Expand.
Yeah. You and I talked about this a little bit, but I think the thing is, it's like so bad. It's so bad to
Really?
the point that I think people don't even realize that they don't have their own identity. And you know, I'm not one for like the matrix bullshit stuff, but programming and environment and that kind of thing, it's real. It's real as fuck, dude. And sometimes it's extremely evident that people don't even question it. You know what I mean? Like their upbringing, the places that they've been raised, the people that they've been raised around, those morals, those kind of ethics, like whatever it is. And you know, I don't want to just leave it at people are uncultured, but like at the same time, like I feel like that has a genuine huge piece to do with it. Like if you don't even leave your hometown, I mean, what do you really have to push against to find out who you are in all of that fucking noise? You know what I mean? And
But what if that is who you are? What if you're just like a nice farm boy, farm girl,
that's
and
fine. But I
you're
don't think you.
happy with the
But
local church, happy with the neighbors, happy with the,
that's
content?
fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's totally fine. But do not tell me you're that unless you've tried to be at least one other thing and it didn't fit. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe not even tried something, but challenged the view that you live in against another, whether that's through a book or a person or whatever the fuck it is. You've got to challenge that, right? Like you've got to, is there some sort of piece in you that you didn't even know and or uncover yet that really would be happier doing something else? And that's not to say that you can't be happy being the farm boy, but you know, had you been that farm boy and you're 40 years old, right? And you're living on the farm, and then writer, actor, fucking playwright comes along, and you guys just
Weird
end up having,
motherfucker in a hat. Yeah.
yep, and you just have a conversation, and your whole life the lid's blown the fuck off of it, because not not just did you enjoy what you were doing, you really only thought that that was it, you know. And like I said, I think that exactly what you're talking about, I think that's where a lot of people are at. And I'm not saying be disgruntled with where you are or the life or circumstances that you have. I fucking challenge them a little bit, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Break the boundary just a smidge, and if it feels good on the other side of it, I mean, fuck, maybe you have a little exploring to do.
Okay. So I did. I took that note. I took that note of like challenging, like your sort of role in your environment and this sort of
Mm-hmm.
sense of identity. So if I'm trying to paraphrase or understand you, is like you're saying that you would say that like not enough people are doing this. They're just accepting what's given.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then I don't know if it's the incentive dies or it was never initially there, again, because ignorance is bliss, right? But I just don't think a lot of people even remotely question it. It just is what it is. And fuck, I don't know, it's kind of freaky. It's just a little freaky to me because, like I said, I look, it's not so far as like I can immediately sniff on somebody if they've been fucking homebred and only
Yeah.
their whole, you know, people still have a personality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, if I was to get close to someone and realize that and understand that concept, even in that, unless you had been versed in that, like I don't even know, like involved in the community or started a business or whatever the fuck that is, I don't know what advice or I don't know what I would take from you. And that's not to say every relationship is advantageous, but you know, fuck.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you.
Shit, where are you? You know what I mean? Where are you? I can't trust that I know you because I don't trust that you know you. And that's tough, you know? Like, I'm sure there's a shitload of people I would like a lot more if I had that feeling like, hey, oh shit, you've been around the block a little bit. You really understand who you are. You know, that immediately to me is not just feels safer. but it's oddly comforting too when
Right.
someone has that peace, and
Yeah.
they've got that. This is me, even if their fucking life is in shambles, but they're just like, hey, this is me, and this
Yeah.
is I'm here because of
It's
this,
my
this, or
shambles.
that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I love that. I love that, and I just, yeah, like I said, I don't know whether it was lost or given up or not discovered yet, but I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are in that boat. And fuck, maybe I'm an asshole.
No, I wanted your opinion. I wanted your opinion, and you gave me your opinion, and that's ask me.
Yeah, well, please tell me. I mean, from your perspective, number one, is there an identity crisis? And then if there is or isn't, why? Why do you qualify it?
Yeah. I don't know. that's that's my answer. I know that, like, going into this is one of those few episodes, Misfits, where we're probably not going to agree on much, Broedy and I, which is good. It's good for content. But my answer is I don't know, and I immediately don't buy into the noise of like kids today and the disillusioned youth, because the concept of the disillusioned youth has been ongoing since the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? So we know historically it's a thing, right? Now is this identity crisis any different? So I guess, Misfits, before we even started this episode, I said to Broedy, like, I'm not quite sure where to take this because, like, it's an all-encompassing thing, and I'm not going to get into any sort of politics about it. But it's, even if it's as simple as, who are boys and girls and what do they want? Something as simple as that. You know what I mean? And now, is that any more different or difficult today than it has been in previous times? I don't know. I don't know. I would reason not. I would reason that the shape and the form and the landscape of things is different. But I'm probably not giving as much weight to social media as maybe I should, because like a lot more of the adolescent youth are partake in that shit than I do. But it's like, for instance, there was something I wanted to call you out on, because the idea of like no, but it's call you out, but like grab a hold of something. But I wanted to wait until you finished. But okay, the idea of challenging one's identity, yes, I get it. And if your argument is like not enough people do that, I go, okay, I hear that. That makes sense. At the same time, we're living in the age of social media where you are constantly exposed to, like, you can be on TikTok and observe Japanese teens, right? Japanese youth, or what the culture is like in Australia. Fuck, here we are. So you are literally more exposed to the rest of the world than you ever have been, and it's immediate. You can do it at any time of the day in the palm of your hand, right? So, but it's sort of, it's an interesting conundrum, but generally what you'll find is that even though there might be like a little sampling of like other people in the world, other jobs and what they do, people tend to withdraw to the subjects and the people and the interests that they know and that they're familiar with. So it's an interesting thing that if you wanted to challenge your identity and sense of self and what you understand of the world, there's never been a better time in the history of humanity.
You're totally right, but can I say this? I don't want to interrupt you in your explanation to the identity crisis, but I want to say this. I feel like, too, and this is just expanding on that original thought. The thing is, too, I think because of that programming, I just accept what is around me, right? Like, same kind of deal with social media, where it's like, and look, I mean, again, kids of today, like, any fucking kid is a perfect example of being a culture sponge, right? Like, think about us with fucking MTV and just the shit, you know what I mean? That the second we saw it, there was no question. I'm just absorbing it, It is part of me now. I want to be part of it. And again, I guess that's me being a little nitpicky about challenging your identity and what that looks like. But at the same time, if it's just accepted, right? Like I'm not calling anybody out, but I see this a lot in the anime culture where someone will find an anime and then they're all of a sudden a fucking anime kid.
That's the personality.
Oh my God.
I am Goku. Yeah.
And it's the only one they watch. They don't explore the entirety of the culture of the entire thing. They just don't. It's just one thing. They pick it and then they breathe it. And it's like, okay, fuck, dude. Star Wars people, I love you to death. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've got lightsabers hanging up, ready to be hung up in my future office. It's not my identity though. You know what I mean? And then even stuff like the Spider-Man shit, this took a lot for me to be willing to do, and it's because enough people gave me shit about my background, you know. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna throw a personal thing up there. But again, Spider-Man's not my identity. It's you know, I don't wear red and blue spandex at night and try to fucking sling over to the other wall.
Cuddle your Miles Morales onesie and your waifu just cozy up and like.
So I guess I'm not really arguing what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like with what I was saying, just the same with social media, it's just accepted, absorbed, and moved on from it. It's like you didn't challenge anything in that. You didn't explore that really. It just was something that you found interest in and now is fucking part of you. And I guess that's the point, right?
But okay, I'm trying to think, like, if there's an identity crisis, then where did it come from? And I guess that's where I make the case that, like, no, this is the journey of adolescence and people in their 20s and maybe even in their 30s. Like, shit, people, and here's, okay, here we go. Where do you draw the line? Because in your teens, it's allowed. In your 20s, it's sort of, you're still figuring it out. In your 30s, you should have it down, but now you're starting to earn a bit of money to figure out who it is you want to do and where you want to be and where you want to go. By your 40s and your 50s, they call it a midlife crisis, right?
Right.
So it seems like if you're still trying to figure yourself out, it depends on your age on who will be judged more harshly.
That's fair. I'm gonna be blunt with the fucking Misfits here. I can't disagree with that though, in the sense that there should maybe there shouldn't, but in my mind there should somewhat be a line, because I believe in the capacity of human beings. Truly, that's what it is. It's not that I don't think you're capable or figuring, it's that I believe we are so capable of figuring out who we are or who we want to be.
All right, I get you. So, like, let's distill something, right? Is your argument more that the identity crisis is one singular personal journey, as opposed to, like, boys have this role, girls have these roles, like, and the fact that we've lost this is the end of civilization and the youth of today?
No, I think it was the former. I think you said that well. Okay. I don't, because again, too, I don't necessarily prescribe to any traditional roles or, you know, those kind of senses. So, wow. Yeah, no, that's the way that I look at it then, 100%. In individual journeys, it's funny that you say that, because now I'm like kind of rethinking the whole fucking episode, and I'm like, God damn.
That's good. That's nice. We're allowed to change our mind.
Yeah. Well, I like where you're taking this, because what then, like you were saying, maybe not let's talk about the age thing, right? Let's not talk about the age thing. What then qualifies a personal journey as opposed to a crisis of the identity? You know, what is that? What's the difference? What's the fucking difference, people?
I may have done some research. Okay. I may have a suggestion. All right. Please. So sit tight, Misfits. Here we go. So this is what's interesting. I did a quick searchy on, like, how would you define an identity crisis? Like, what does this fucking even mean? Right. Okay. So everyone's still figuring them out. That's great. And a few studies come up which correlate two particular points, which is really, really interesting, is that normally people have an identity crisis when they go through a career change or they're making significant career choices. So just peg that for a moment.
Okay.
And then the second one is when it comes to interpersonal choices and relationships. So when there's either a shift there as well. So those two things, career choices and decisions, and interpersonal relationships choices and decisions. And the reason, if you look at those two things, the reason why, let's say 20-year-olds, that bracket of, let's say 18 to 28 even, they seem to be the demographic of identity crisis, youth of today, blah, 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 and all that sort of shit.
Totally.
Is they identified that, kids post-college, right, specifically there you go. Kids post-college specifically go through this criteria, this perfect storm, right? You've gone through high school, you do like another 3 or 4 years of big boy high school, let's call it. You go to college, big boy and girl high school, you go there, and then you're out. And the expectation is like early 20s, mid 20s, get yourself a job, which should be a career, like find the partner, earn the cash, move out of home, right? Now, all the people that you went to high school with may or may not be around. College, who cares? They're not going to support you on the job hunt. So your personal relationships take a real stressing is the word I'm looking for. Right. And then like career choices, who are you going to be? What are you going to do with your life? Like there's nothing more intrinsic to one's identity crisis than figuring out what is my role and value in society.
Purpose. Yeah. Purpose.
Right.
I think. Oh my God.
So this probably leads to why there's always been a focus on this particular demographic of like 18 to 28, like yous are the problem. Your relationships, you're not buying as many cars, you're not getting married as early, you're not having as many kids, you don't have an interest in fucking crystal jewelry and antiques and shit. What's wrong with you? You can't afford a house, you drink too many soy lattes. Like they're all the problem because they're fresh out of high school, fresh out of college, and trying to figure out like looking at the world and going, this is fucked, I don't want any of it, and I'll never afford a house. But then having to figure out, like, how am I going to survive and make this work?
Right, because ultimately, and this is not to be doom and gloom, Misfits, you don't really have a choice. I mean, in that particular aspect, it's survive or die, and I hate being so cut and dry about it, but really, like you're talking about when. But that's my thing. That's what I'm asking is like, so when then? In that entirety of the journey, because look, I'll say this, it's just the environment changing, because even you look at 18 to even late 20s, beginning of your 30s, right? Just like you're talking about, you're generally popping out of school, you're going through that kind of crisis, like who the fuck am I, what do I want to do? Let's say you get a couple of those pieces figured out. Okay, well, then kid number 1 comes along, and that's a whole nother fucking ball game, buddy. And then kid number 2 comes along, and you're like, holy shit, I thought this would have been the same fucking thing.
Just copy paste, right?
It's copy paste. Not. It's not. And again, like I liked what you were saying is like, imagine trying to find yourself in all that, right? Because you got little dudes that you're trying to fucking be a leader and role model for. You've got a partner that you're trying to be somebody for, all these things that it's like almost two. The thing that I think is the biggest issue, like you're talking about, isn't that it's an identity crisis. It's ultimately, how do I fill all these responsibilities without losing myself, right? Like, and we all have, I think, a pretty decent idea of who the fuck we are.
So surely that's a general question rather than what's wrong with kids of today.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Doesn't everyone? Right. So is in your definition then for this episode, like of is there identity crisis? Is this for every single individual?
I don't know, because like I said in my original statement, I won't go back on the fact that I don't think a lot of people are oh my God, I fucking hate that word, but enlightened to the fact that, things may be deeper than graduate college, get a job, fill
Stay in
the
the
fuck.
hometown.
Right. I think that misses a lot of people. I just, and maybe again, like we're talking about, maybe that's me being a fucking dick, and a lot of people realize that shit. This is enough. This is enough.
Just while we're right there, it reminds me of this story. And forgive me, Misfits, if I've told this before, but I missed my 10-year high school reunion. Didn't even know we had it until I randomly bumped into a friend that I went to high school with, and I said, "Oh shit, man! It's been like 12 years since we've been out. We missed the reunion, blah 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 blah." And I think her name was Michelle, and Michelle's like, "Oh no, they had it." I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, no, they had the 10-year reunion, but it was like the not even the popular kids, but the kids from my year who all like intermarried the kids in the year below. They decided they'd have a 10-year reunion and just invite the people that pretty much stayed like in the same town.
That's right? How they all fucking work. I mean,
right. But
Jesus
it's interesting, and I absolutely hear you, like in terms of, one's definition of sort of exploring oneself. But for them, and that's about as insular as you can get. Like I'm graduating high school. I'm going to marry the kid like underneath, the year below me.
They went to the same town.
Pop out 2 kids, stay in the same town again.
And they're going to go to the same high school. And
all that.
Yep.
And what's wrong with that, Broedy? You know what I mean? But for them, but this is sort of my point. Like for them, they're living their dream, brah.
And that's what I mean. I mean, realistically, and look, I've said this to you. I don't know. And this is episode topic aside because it's a little far left, but I truly don't know if people have the level of ambition that, personality types like you or I do. And maybe ambition's not necessarily the correct word, but I think you know where I'm going with this.
I do. When you were talking about sort of when you were giving your definition, the one thing that popped up, which is consistent for the majority of humans, is that we will take the laziest option if we can. You know what I mean? We'll start at the lowest hanging branch. We won't reach for the top. We'll start at the low. And generally that is true for most of us most of the time. And that can be the same principle kind of applies here. It's interesting when I was talking about the social media thing in terms of like, never been a better time to sort of expand your horizons. There's an argument to be made that it almost comes full circle, like because there's so much noise and there's so like either political or social or whatever. It's you couldn't be blamed for turning off or muting a lot of that and just going, I don't want yo trash. You know what I mean? I want simple things. You know what I mean?
By my definition, that would be, again, and to the Misfits, like my thing is like, I guess I don't get to say or qualify what is challenging your environment or challenging.
No, and that's relative as well. I'd also, and this is where it gets spicy, I would also make the case that it's no one would have an identity crisis or even be challenged in this way if they weren't forced to. Now, like for you and I, Broedy, but I'll talk to you specifically. Like, had you fit in at school, and had you just been the cool bro, and had you just fit in, got along, been able to do the work, and just kind of stream through the system, like with no barriers, with no conflict, with no boredom. There's no impetus then for you. There's no impetus there for you to jump outside the stream and try a little something different because I'm here. It's sweet. I'm comfy. I've got people that like me. It's cool, bro.
No.
You think? I don't know.
Because really, no, you said that and it struck me, and I'm like, oh shit. But the thing that I've made very clear in my life is when a situation's too easy or too good or too comfortable, I will burn it to the fucking ground.
that's, a, that's a sign of something else, bro. But
You're probably right, but
yeah,
I really, truly, I do believe that, and I think there's again, ambition's not the correct word. I don't think I mean that. There's just something in you, and God, I say more, and ambition fits, right? But like
right,
you
sure. We'll
just
use that. Yeah.
you want more,
Mm.
whether that's more knowledge, whether that's more connection, whether that's more experience, just in general. Fuck, dude, that's that cliche kid on the motorcycle that rolls through town. Yeah, sure, that fucking same town has had the same fucking families for this fucking last
You don't
200 fucking
belong
years.
here. Yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
but then he rolls through fucking town and it's footloose. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
because again, I think like what you said is, I mean, you need a little pushback. It's not, I don't think it just falls in your lap. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you just naturally understand who you are. That sounds a little, I mean, that'd be great. That'd be fan fucking tastic, but it's interesting. It actually leads me to one of my questions that I had. Within all the things that we're talking about, programming, environment, upbringing, all that stuff, I'm curious what your opinion is on the impact that money has had on identity, and maybe I'm just talking about a commissary system. Anything that has some level of inflation to it, where some have more and some don't, where I wonder too, if you stripped it down to nothing, right? We all have the same shit, same things. We drink the same water. We sleep on the same beds. How much of those individuals would lose a huge piece of their identity when it
Yeah.
was so grounded in what something is routine, not
Yep.
necessarily identity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious, impact on money on identity. It has that completely fucking skewed what we even know as identity, because again, like I said, that can change a fucking shitload, where someone grounds so much
Yeah.
in something like that.
Okay, sure. Like the short answer is yes, but money could be anything. You know what I mean? Like think it,
Fair.
pick it.
Fair.
Pick the hot girl at the party. Pick the hot boy at the party. You know what I mean? And you're the one that takes home the popular kid.
Anime
Oh,
kid
holy
we brought
shit!
up earlier.
Like
Yeah.
bang.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
you're now that guy. Or the place that someone really wants to work at. Or the country that they want to live in. Or getting back to your anime things, like I'm Goku, which means I own the anime, which means it's mine, and y'all can have all the other animes, but I'm the super edgiest kid, and this is my domain, and don't fucking touch it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's again, it's where you place your values intrinsically. Now, but getting to your point is like often those values are shaped by school, the town, parents, the partner, all that sort of stuff. And so are you pursuing it because it fulfills you, or are you pursuing it because it ticks a checkbox of what would make someone happy or even piss someone off? And those are two pretty strong motivators, Misfits. Like you will do a lot of shit to appear of value to someone, and you will do a lot of shit to piss someone else off.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And so somewhere in there, like you can still do those things, but like somewhere in there is like the decisive choice rather than the reflex action, right? Oh, that was a baller fucking quote.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think that goes to your point. Yes, money is a thing. I remember like being halfway through acting college, like early 20s, sitting in a cafe as I do, in Sydney, right? Capital of the fucking state and where all the people and all the money is. Looking around going, I'm never going to be the bro to drive the BMW. Like guys in my 20s now are probably close to getting out of college or uni with the suit and the job and the white collars and all that sort of shit. And that's not me. And then having to sit there and go, is that going to be okay? Actually asking myself, like, is this going to be okay? Because I also sort of primarily knew, like, if I don't make bank, then I'm not going to meet the girl and I'm not going to fall in love. Is anyone going to want me? Because as a man, you're supposed to provide. And in my 20s, No. But like in my 20s, having this conversation. Yeah.
It's like you said, though. I mean, and this is really where I come to that consensus that I could not just fall in the natural path, right? Like the flow of things. Like I imagine it's kind of the same that you're kind of framing right now. I just couldn't do it because something about it, just like you're talking about with the suit and the money and it just didn't strike. I couldn't invest me in that, right? And and I wonder again how many people and how easy it would be to get lost in that.
And it's a really, it can be a scary and a really uncomfortable like discussion with yourself because everyone's doing it. So if I'm not, am I wrong? And if you've listened back to any of the episodes, I'm probably having a similar conversation about all of it because I'm pretty sure I've done life backwards, but it's worked out that way, and I'm okay with it. But still, that's
kind of what I mean. Like, do you think again in this example that you're giving, would you? Okay, let's say you take the white suit, or the suit in the white collar, and you got the BMW and that, right? Chris is there. He's done that. He's checked that box, and okay, here comes the girl that you think comes along with that, and this thing.
I don't like any of it. I'm flinching.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
And the only thing I'm thinking is like, Glenn would be happy. Like, I've got my 9 to 5.
That's it, though.
That's it. That'd be the only box that'd tick. Like I'd be dead inside.
And fuck that, dude.
Right?
Fuck that shit. I'm sorry. Like you said, I don't care if someone was like, "Hey, $1 million a day," but I get to tell you who you are, where you're gonna go.
Hang on, but you had that offer just recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I told him to fucking eat a
lay it out for the Misfits because the Misfits got to know because you're a working man. You're a working dad.
Yeah, and this is a good place to be honest too. Yeah, so financially squeezed, you know what I mean? I've got 5 kids. I've got my own stuff that I'm trying to build. We've got the Professional Misfits. I'm in the ground level of a startup project for a new game that's high capacity, fucking high investment, high risk, just a ton of stuff. Had a previous mentor come to me and kind of knew the situation and positioned me, you know what I mean, in a way that was like, hey, I know you're having a shitty time right now. Come make way more than you are over there and give me the results that you're giving this project.
To clarify, Misfits, Broedy was kicking ass in this project. And
Crushing.
he ran it by this guy in terms of the stats and the engagement and everything else. And this dude said, "Great, can you come do that for me? And here's the offer. I'll pay you X amount."
Yep. And even in his initial kind of back and forth was like, "Yeah, I'm going to ask you to leave that behind." And I was like, "Dude, what the actual fuck? No." Like
cash in, Broedy. It's fucking.
And I would be dishonest to tell you that there wasn't a part of me that goes, oh shit, like I would be much more comfortable and like if I can just burn this bridge in 4 months and then go back to what I'm. But it is like it wasn't just those things that would be sacrificed or risked.
Right.
Something in here, something.
Yeah.
I mean that something in here, and it's like, can I be bought is almost the thing, is like, I can do these incredible things and have this validation in my work, and still it's just going to put me in a position of, who's the next buyer, and that shit. Oh, it's so gross to me, man. It's so gross. So yeah, Misfits, I turned that shit down. And honestly, it would have put me in a better position. It really would have, financially speaking. But like Chris was talking about, I really do think probably 2 weeks in, realizing that the bridge was burned on the project that I've already spent a fucking ridiculous amount of time on, a ridiculous amount of energy and effort, and gotten a ton of incredible results, to waste. It's just to waste, just to say, okay, I checked one box while all these other boxes are laid waste. It's a weird thing to me. Like I said early in the episode, it's not that I think people do it intentionally. I really don't. I don't believe that. I don't think that they're sitting there at home after the 9 to 5 going, man, I could figure out who I am, but I'm not going to do that. No, I don't think that's what it is. I think the phone comes up and you start scrolling, and I think the wife says, hey, I need the garbage taken out. And the kids go, hey, will you play catch with me? And your fucking ankle hurts, or your fucking shoulder's ripped, or whatever the fuck is going on. And you just forget almost, you know what I mean? And it's almost lost on you. And when do we, I guess my biggest piece is like, when does it become so uncomfortable being who you're not that you decide to try to find who you are?
Right. So excellent. Because what you tapped into there was, here's the silent majority of the identity crisis, is everybody working the 9 to 5 with the kids, with the job, kind of quietly hating it, or just simmering dissatisfaction and not knowing where to go. So even though 18 to 28 is used as the tip of the spear to point to what is wrong with all of society, silently, really, misfits, everyone in the professional working capacity is having the exact same issue, except now the costs are higher because they got a mortgage. And I've sunk 5, 6, 7 years with this partner, and I got kids. And if I was to kind of change something now, it'd be hard.
Yeah, but isn't living in the shit
so hard?
And that's my thing, though. That's my thing. When does that hard become more challenging than sitting somewhere you don't want to fucking be? And I'm going to be honest with you, Misfits. It's not always this way. But I think a lot of the motherfucking times that when someone's dissatisfied in a situation, it inevitably leads to the dissatisfaction of the other person in the situation.
Oh, of course. Well, of course. You know,
why the fuck
unless they're completely tone deaf, it's just it's one of those things.
You want to hear the actual statistic for, and it's funny that you brought up the 9 to 5 satisfaction. It was part of the whole money thing that I was looking up with Joyce. Yeah, 74%, based off a 75,000 person study in the US. 75,000 people, okay? Out of that, 74 said they felt disengaged or unhappy in their jobs or current fields and wish they had made a change.
These kids today, man, if they could just... Yeah. And now, let's flip the table a little bit. The youth, and I was one of them, knew this going into it. Knew this coming out of high school, and she's like, I don't want to work a gig that's going to kill me, that I'm going to be unhappy at.
Yeah, but did you though?
No, I did. No, straight up. No, okay. This is one of those. Okay. This is one of those things. Jesus, this is how you quit uni to go run a kung fu school, bro.
Touche.
At 21, and then go to acting college, and then go to London, right? So I'd like to think that I lived it. So yeah, there you go. I've earned it. So, but it's I knew even early on that I would watch my old man come home from work, like long hours and working at the power station and everything else, never happy. Like it wasn't a joy to be there. He didn't come home refreshed, and he wasn't that much refreshed, in seeing his own children. You know what I mean? So, and for him, work was a chore that you had to endure, and that's what it was. And he was a very bright man, very bright engineer. He could have easily done the consulting thing of just gone, I quit. Now hire me back at 3 times the rate to do this for you. You know, but for him, stability was the key. You know what I mean? I've got the job, I've got the role, and that's fine, right? But that is fine. But having observed that growing up, it was ingrained in my soul that is not, that my life is 80 years, or 100 years. I don't want to waste 50 just grinding through a day to day. Like what the math doesn't add up, folks. Right?
Well, and I mean, it's the pinnacle of your fucking health as well, people. I mean, fuck sakes, folks. 18 to 55 is the general working age.
So now here's the fucked up dichotomy, and probably why, and this is probably where the juice is in terms of the confusion and the discussion, and something for you to work out, Misfits. So here I am, like early 20s in acting college, knowing full well I didn't want the 9 to 5 like soulless thing unless I can find the right fit. At the same time, looking at the world around me going, I don't have the car. I don't have the cash. I don't have, like, I'm not going to Europe in the summer. You know what I mean? So it's like you're sort of holding on to these ideals and values of who I am, but also being observant of the world around me and going, well, it's just fuck, man. Like, so where's my spot? Where am I supposed to fit? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to make this work? Or is it just, am I supposed to be gigging for sort of, the rest of my life? And back then I was more firmly, back then I was more firmly in the arts scene. So it's like, all right, so you're going to work and produce work to work to work your way up the ladder to land that gig, to get your break, to do, to be somebody. And it all went a very different way, which right now I'm okay with. But I remember that's the reality of it is you look at the world around you behaving in a certain way, and you have some values of your own, and you're trying to reconcile the internal with the external. And that can be really tricky.
Yes. Well, and maybe that right there is actually a better place for me to have perspective for other people, is right. Like they've understood the trade that they are making, right? And it's kind of like your Glenn example, where it's like, fuck, dude. And I know you know it. You know, acting college, some of the gig work, some of the things that we've been through. Like, I don't think a lot of people would want to do what I've done. You know what I mean? I really truly don't. And I think they would have suffered mentally. I think, and that's where it falls back to your very first rebuttal. And it's like, it is just the journey of the individual. But then I guess at the end of this episode, my final question is, why is that so exacerbated as a loss of identity? Why is finding oneself through what kind of like what you said, when do I have to have decided who that person is for that to have been a success, right?
Yeah. What's the end point? What's the outcome?
What the fuck? So Morgan Freeman, who, I don't know if you guys know this, but literally fucking late 40s, early 50s is when this motherfucker started getting really famous, really doing his thing and having his breakaway kind of moment. I don't think of the fucking 50 years prior he was,
Yeah.
And it's like, you give him all the accolades, you give him all the respect, but another man, fuck, God forbid, going through a divorce or whatever the fuck have you, is less than, because he hasn't had his breakaway or his discovery. And it's like, what the fuck is that then? Like, other than the journey itself. That fucking divorce is glorifying, motherfucker. He's gonna figure out real quick who the fuck he is. That shit's real. That shit's honest. That's experience. What's the differentiator here? Like what makes somebody's journey valuable and the fucking majority of people's not?
Some takeaways here, Misfits. Some takeaways here. Takeaways are: is there an identity crisis? Yes, and everyone's going through it all the time. There you go.
Yep.
Spoilers. Yeah.
I think we solved this one, dude.
I think so too. I think so too. And I think we debunked like the kids of today. And like, if you are a kid of today, you can go, cool, you're part of the 75% that is unhappy with your life and does nothing about it. You know, go home and cry to a hooker because your wife won't listen to you.
Fucking A. All right. Yeah. This went way better than I thought. And it was funny too. It's funny too, because me and Chris both multiple times were like, okay, wait, let's really
Where's
think
this
about
going to go?
this.
What are we going to talk about? I said, let's start with boys and girls. Like, what do they want? And then we'll kind of work into the big stuff.
And Joyce was absolutely fucking zero help in terms of the direction of it. Because I was like, these questions, let's go back here on this stream. Just real quick, finishing up a couple minutes. Why not? Let's see what her first. Okay, I mean, actually,
she do all right.
I mean, the first 5 were not terrible.
Okay,
but then I tried to lead more into conversational topics, and what this is the shit that she came up with. What does it mean to belong in a world where identities are constantly evolving? She even included an emoji with that one, folks.
Oh, wow.
Not sure why. In time of division, how can we find common ground in our diverse and cultural identities? She was hurting me too, dude. She was hurting me too. The one that I actually just real quick stuck out. What role does mental health and well-being play in shaping one's identity during times of societal upheaval? That's actually not fucking bad to me though, because look, real quick, right now in my mind, we are in a time of societal upheaval, right? Where it's like there's a ton of shit going on right now, where at any point in time the coin could flip and it could be a not great situation for a whole lot of people. But again, how do you find yourself during that? Because then most people's common ground or focus is, how do I solve this? Same thing like we were talking about with an identity crisis. How do I solve that? How do I get to the end of the personal journey? Because then it's all validated and I can put it behind me. But I mean, for fuck's sakes, this could go on for 20, 30 years. So do you just not find yourself until the end of a fucking crisis?
Just wait. It'll sort itself out.
Okay. All right. You heard it from Chris.
Skip the homework and then just like, that was my answer too.
Yeah. just hang out until someone calls it out in class.
That's it. Perfect. All right, Misfits. That's episode 59. You should all be cleared up now. You should all have your identities sorted. You're good to go.
Yes,
go out
please.
there and conquer the world. Make fat stacks. Coming up, super easy, Broedy. It's a layup.
Yeah, we're gonna do the wrap up.
We're going to do season 5 wrap up. We're going to start looking at season 6. Interesting times, Misfits. Speaking of which, because this is your probably second last chance to do so, but pop in the comments what you would like us to talk about for season 6.
Yes.
If
please.
you've got some hot topics, if there was something that you want us to go deeper into, there's over 100 of you subscribed now, which is awfully cool. Thanks very much.
And YouTube gave us a cute little, did you get the confetti display when you logged into our dashboard?
Oh, wow, you must have got there first.
I took it.
Nice.
Yeah, we got the 100 mark and we got a nice little confetti display from YouTube.
That's cute. Yeah, and like 400 over on LinkedIn as well. So if you've come from LinkedIn, like, thanks team.
Thank you. Yeah.
Pop in the comments, like what subjects you want us to explore, or if there's a theme for the next season that you're interested in. If you're here, you know what we talk about. So be good to have your input. Broedy, any thoughts coming up for final episode for the season?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. Chris doesn't know this, Misfits, but I'm gonna test something where
Don't know how I feel about it.
He doesn't even know.
I already don't know.
on the final episode, I'll try to cut in some highlights where me and Chris will take a pause, and I'll throw in a couple of the clips that we're referencing or talking about in the episodes prior, and then hopefully moving into season 6 with the topics and things that we're talking about, we'll also be able to do that at capacity as well. So if we mention something in the book, it'll pop up on the screen. If we
editing magic, okay,
yeah. So the tools are evolving, and so should the end product. So yeah, episode 10, we're gonna try something with a little bit of a highlight reel.
All right, Misfits, you heard it first.
I call cut, roll the clips.
Interesting. All right, Misfits. On that note, you can find us at all our details at promisfitspodcast.com. You can find links to Spotify, to YouTube, to Broedy and I if you want to talk to us about anything. You can find our Patreon if you want to shout us a couple of bucks for I need coffee and Broedy needs glasses. He needs to feed his kids. You know how it is.
You live in the shoe, folks.
Do shoes always. It was sports gear this week. They needed to go shopping for sports gear.
Yes.
Amazing.
Too much sports gear.
Too much sports gear for four boys. Shout out to IGU for sponsoring season 5. Thank you so much. There's one episode left to go. So, Misfits, in the meantime, I've been Chris.
I've been Broedy.
And you stay classy. We'll see you for the final episode. Fuck real estate agents.